Hello everybody, I'm the Pale Recluse coming out of hiding to present you with my first rant. Now I'm aware that today's rant has kind of been beaten into the ground, but hopefully I could bring something new to the table. Tonight's rant is about fandoms, or more specifically, the die-hard asshole fans of fandoms. Now, what could possibly be wrong with these people? Let's start with the obvious. They practically ruin fandoms with their overly obsessive and assholeish behavior. You see, fandoms can be a good way to show your appreciation for a franchise that you love dearly and meet like-minded people and others who may give you a new perspective on the franchise you love. However, there are those people who take their franchises way too seriously and practically poison the fandom of it with their toxic behavior. This, in turn, can scare some fans away. Not only that, but it can also keep other people distant who may be curious about the franchise and its fan base, and possibly give them the impression that everyone from it is exactly like them. That's because these kinds of people typically shout the loudest, so this will draw attention. Now let me give you an in-depth analysis of these crazy assholes' behavior. Now there are three kinds of people that play the biggest roles in giving fandoms a bad reputation. That would be the shippers, the bitchers, and what I like to call the analists, or people who are very anal about their beloved franchises and how things are supposed to be in their eyes. Let's go over shippers first. For those who don't know, shippers are people who take two characters from a franchise and put them together as a couple. Sometimes it can be three characters, whether if the coupling makes sense or not. Now, I wouldn't have a problem with people shipping characters together, if it wasn't for the fact that the die-hard fans take their pairings way too seriously and worship them as if they were gods. If anyone disagrees with their OTP or their one true pairing, these people will do anything in their power to defend their OTP and go into monologue mode of why their OTP is the best character shipping in existence, or why it's legit. Yes, there are people out there who actually believe their couple is legit even if it isn't, or doesn't make any sense. Hell, there are some who will even show their hypocrisy and bash another shipping that's somewhat similar to it and belittle people who actually like that specific couple. Let's use the Harry Potter franchise for example. And let's say someone ships Harry and Draco and makes it their OTP. Then that person finds someone who gives their thoughts on why they don't like the pairing or why it doesn't work. That person then enters a tirade and acts like a goddamn 5-year-old and writes paragraph after paragraph on why they like the couple, and maybe blocks the person out of sheer anger. And then that same person rants about why they hate the pairing of, say, Ginny and Neville. Do you see how fucking stupid, childish, and hypocritical that is? If you do, then that means you have an above average IQ. The next group of assholes in the fandoms are the bitchers. I call them bitchers because they will bitch about everything they think is wrong with their franchise. They will scream and moan and throw a tantrum over the stupidest or minuscule or petty of things in the franchise, from the story to the characters or anything about them or whatever happened to them, to canon pairings if there are any, and so on. If these bitchers have a problem with anything, they'll rush to the internets, to some forum website, usually Reddit or Tumblr, and take up space on forums and message boards with their bullshit bitchfest extravaganza. I'm going to be using the Sonic fanbase as an example. I know it's pretty much a dead horse at this point, but the fanbase of the Sonic franchise is one of the best examples of just how bad these people can get. If there's one thing, amongst many other things, that the Sonic fandom is best known for, is their constant bitching about everything, from the games, to the TV shows, to the characters, to the voice acting, you name it, they've bitched about it. It has gotten so bad that the people of Sega have been made aware of it, and tried everything in their power and resources to cater to their fans. But every time they try to fix or change something, such as gameplay and voice acting, it's never enough for the fans, and they'll complain about the changes, and the cycle repeats itself. People like them are never satisfied. The last group of people I want to talk about are the analists. Now these people and bitchers can correlate, except in my perspective, the analists can extend to complaining about people in the fandoms or anything that they do. I'm not going to go over them bitching about the franchises themselves, because everything I said about that can be found in the Bitcher segment. This time, I'm going to talk about them bitching about stuff in the fan bases of the franchises. I'm sure everyone has their preferences on what kinds of art or fan fiction they want to see in the fandoms. That's all fine and good. However, the analists take it a step further and complain about wanting certain kinds of fan art or fan fiction their way. Criticism is one thing, but this is entirely different on its own merit. If an analyst reads a fan fiction where one of the canon characters gets slightly out of character, or OOC, or if there are pairings, whether it's ones that they don't like, or ones that aren't canon, or it's pairings between a canon character and a fan character, they'll bitch about it in the comments. Or they come across a certain piece of fan art that's in the artist's particular style, and they complain about how it's weird, or that's not how the style is supposed to be, and it should be in the style from the franchise. Let me put this into perspective. If everyone made fan art in the exact same style, like from the franchise it's based off, or if everyone wrote fan fiction in the exact same way, with no OOC and no fan-made pairings, that would be pretty boring. There would be no individuality within the fandom. Everyone has their own style of how they portray characters. And that's what makes fandoms interesting. After all, variety is the spice of life. A prime example of this, and a more recent one at that, is the Steven Universe fanbase having a bitch fest over a fan artist who drew Rose Quartz slimmer than she actually is. They harassed her so much to the point where she actually tried to commit suicide. I wish this wasn't true, but I'm afraid it is. If you want more information on this, I'll leave a link in the description to AlphaOmegaSin's video where he talks about it. Well, after all that, should you forget about joining a fandom, knowing what kinds of people are in it? That's pretty much up to the individual. If you want to get involved in a fandom, then no one's going to stop you, but I do advise you to tread cautiously. But other than that, I would like for nothing more than for fans of any franchise to have fun, respect other people's opinions, and don't take the enjoyment away from others, because that makes you an asshole. And to anyone watching this video, if you act like any of these people I just ranted about, then you need to push yourself away from the computer, stand up, walk away from it, go sit in the corner, and reevaluate yourself. Because all you're doing is taking all the fun away from the people of the fandom you're a part of, making all the decent fans look bad, and giving the fandom a bad name. This is the Pale Recluse, and I'll see you the next time I decide to come out of hiding.